The lesson is solid state. So here we know that matter basically exists in three physical states. They are solids, liquids and gases. This is the basic thing that everyone knows. So let us see the basic properties of the solids, liquids and gases. So if you take the solids, they have definite shape. Liquids, no shape. Whereas gases also do not have any shape. And the shape of both liquids and gases depends on the shape of the container in which they are placed. Let us see about their volume. Solids have definite volume, whereas liquids have volume, whereas gases no volume. So gases do not have definite shape and volume. The shape and volume of the gases depends on the container in which these are placed. Now, when it comes to the solids, again, their density. So solids density is very high density. Whereas in the case of the liquids, it is the medium in between solids and gases. Whereas the gases are with very less density. Now, what about the atoms arrangement? In case of the solids, the constituent particles. So, I must remember you one thing, that whatever the atoms particles are present in solids, so we use the term constituent particles. So this constituent particles term refers, it may be ions or atoms or molecules, whatever it may be, which are participated over here. So in the case of the solids, the constituent particles are arranged very closely to each other, leaving no space among them. But in the case of the liquids, the constituent particles are somewhat arranged a bit away from each other. There is a medium distance. And in the case of the gases, the constituent particles are arranged very much apart from each other. So what happens if the constituent particles are arranged so closely to each other, and if they are away from each other? Let us see the consequences about the arrangement of these particles. If the constituent particles are arranged so closely to each other, then we can say that there is a strong attractive forces among these constituent particles. So we can say that strong attractive forces. So these attractive forces are existed among the particles. So we can say that strong intermolecular. Here I am using the word molecular. It may be molecule, atom or whatever it may be. But as a standard definition, let us use the word molecular. So there are strong intermolecular attractions among the particles in solids. Whereas in the gases, since the particles are arranged a bit away from each other, the intermolecular attractions are not so strong as in the case of the solid. So we can say that not so strong. I am not saying that there is no intermolecular attraction forces among the molecules in the liquids. They are there, but not like in the solids. That's why I am saying that not so strong intermolecular attractions. Then what about in the case of the gases? Here you can see the gas molecules are arranged very much away from each other. So much gap is there among the gas molecules. So that is the reason why attraction forces are almost negligible. This is what actually said in the kinetic molecular theory of the gases. So we can say that weak intermolecular attractions. weak intermolecular attractions are present among the molecules in the gaseous state. Then what are the other consequences because of the strong intermolecular forces? It is very clear that when there is strong intermolecular attractions among the constant particles, then the constant particles obviously they will be arranged so closely to each other. When they arranged so closely to each other, see here I am writing another layer of the solid. So when the particles are arranged so closely to each other, whatever the particles are present in between, they are confined only to their position and they cannot move away from that particular position. They cannot move. So they are confined to that particular position only. Because they cannot move from their position, obviously solid will get a particular shape. So that is the reason why solids have a definite shape. When there is a definite shape, obviously there must be a volume and there must be a mass. So here I can say that since the molecules are so closely arranged to each other, we say that they are rigid in nature. Rigid in the sense they cannot move. Rigid in nature. And these are not rigid in nature. Not rigid in nature, both liquids and gases. Since they are not rigid in nature, they can flow. Hence, both liquids and gases are actually studied under the name of the fluids. Anyhow, we have already discussed about the gases under the name of the states of matter in our first year lesson. So that here we don't discuss anything about the gases. And what about the liquids? Liquids we are going to discuss in the lesson solutions. So our present discussion is confined only to the solids. So in the case of the solids they possess definite shape. Definite shape is there, volume is there, high density is there. The reason for all these three properties is strong intermolecular attractions among the molecules in the solids. Because of the strong intermolecular attraction, the molecules cannot move away from their position. Hence, they are said to be rigid in nature. So, whenever the molecules are arranged so closely to each other, obviously the solids gets a different type of the shapes. And the arrangement of the particles also varies from one solid to the another solid. So, based on the arrangement of the particles, these solids have been classified into two categories. So, now we are jumping into the classification of the solids. Classification of solids based on molecular arrangement. So, classification of solids based on the molecular arrangement. So, based on the molecular arrangement, the solids have been classified into two categories. They are crystalline solids . Second one is amorphous solids. So here I must tell one thing about the amorphous solids. A means without. Morphous, morph means shape. So these are the solids without shape. Now let's come to the point of the crystalline solids and amorphous solids one by one. In the case of the crystalline solids, the first point is the particles are arranged so closely to each other in both the solids, but in the case of the crystalline solids, the particles maintain long range order. Long range order means if I write like this, you may not understand. I'll write another type of the arrangement. See, there is a particle which is closely arranged to the B particle. See, here I am showing some gap. Actually, solids do not have any gap between the molecules, but let us imagine still they are closely arranged to each other. Again A has come, again B is there, again A is there, again B is there, and like this. Now here B, next A, next B, A, B, A, and again you take A, B, A, B, A, and B. Here again I am taking the B, A, B, A, B, A. Now, if you observe a particular arrangement, means crystalline solids, I said they maintain the long range order, no? So, I will write here, they maintain long range order. What does it mean by the long range order? Long range order means whatever the arrangement they are having, the same arrangement they maintain till the last end of the crystal, till the end of the crystal. See here, A has come first, next B, again A, again B, again A, again B, again A, again B. So, the same order will be there. Such type of the discontinuous order is called the long range order. You can see in this direction also. So, along this direction also you will have the same type of order, A, B. So, same order they maintain. So, if you consider this a particular piece as a small crystal, then we have to consider this one also as a small crystal. See, AB, BA. Again, here also we can consider it as a small crystal. AB, BA means actually crystalline solids are said to be formed by the combination of the small crystals having identical order, and after combination of the small crystals, they maintain the same order till the end of the crystal. So, such type of the solids are called as the crystalline solids. So, basically crystalline solids are the solids where the constituent particles maintain the long range order. Now, come to the point of amorphous solids, means I am comparing here itself so that you can understand clearly. In the case of the amorphous solids, I said here they do not have any particular shape. So, they do not maintain any long range order. See here again A has come, B, A, B, it may be B, A, B. We cannot say what type of the order these solids are having. So, the constituent particles may not maintain same order. Again B is coming, again A is coming, again B, A, B, A. See here now A, B, irregular order, completely irregular order. So, the solids in which there is no long range order, only short range order is there, short range order. Such type of the solids are called the amorphous solids. So, amorphous solids do not have a particular shape, that's why they are said to be short range order. What does it mean by short range order? See, AB order is there. So, initially A has come here, next B, again A has come. So, this order is maintained only up to here. Afterwards, it was disconnected. Again A has come, not B. So, this A, B, A. So, again the order is here up to here. Again B has come, not A. So, this side if you see, A, B order is up to here. Next only B is there. Next here, this is the one order. This is another order. So, whatever the order they are maintaining, that order is only confined to the short range. Hence, these amorphous solids are said to be having no shape because of the short range order. Crystalline solids are having the long range order. Then, what are the other consequences of the solids having long range order and short range order? If long range order is there, they maintain the same order till the end of the crystal and throughout the crystal. Because of that, if you want to cut this particular piece, you will have the equal sharp edges of the piece you will get. See B, A, is there, A, B means we can easily cut the crystal with a sharp edged knife. After the cutting, you will get the smooth surfaces of the crystal. But in the case of the amorphous solids, if you try to cut these amorphous solids, you will not get the smooth surfaces. Always you will get the rough surface, because it will not go well while cutting. It will always give the rough surfaces. You can easily understand how to which examples can be taken in the case of the crystalline solids and amorphous solids. It is easily can be understand by taking the NaCl crystal, normal table salt. When you try to cut any particular table salt piece, you will get the very smooth surfaces pieces. But in the case of the plastic, just take the plastic. So in the case of the plastic, when you try to cut with any type of the knife, you don't get the smooth surface, you will get the rough surfaces. Because the plastic materials are not having the regular order, they will have the irregular order. Because of that, the cutting may takes place from any places. That's why we will get the rough surfaces. But in the case of the crystalline solids, since they have the proper shape, we get the smooth surfaces. What other consequences because of this long range order that crystalline solids are going to have? Let us see. Because of this long range order, whenever you try to heat these crystals, since AB, 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 again this side also BA, BA, same type of order is there. So when the same type of order is there, the interaction forces among the particles will be same. See here AB attraction force, here also again AB attraction force, here also again AB attraction force. So you take any direction, the attraction forces are same. Since the attraction forces are same, the crystal, whenever you are heating, these attraction forces are to be broken at a time. Means if you take the ice, when you heat the ice exactly melts at 0 degrees centigrade. Why? Because the attraction forces among the molecules in the ice are same. So when the moment when 0 degree centigrade temperature is reached, this temperature can easily break all the attraction forces that are present among the molecules in the crystalline solid, so that immediately it starts melting at 0 degree centigrade. So we say that these crystalline solids are having the sharp melting point. Whereas in the case of the amorphous solids, they do not have the long range order, not a proper order is there. Since no proper order is present in the amorphous crystals, here one type of attraction forces, here another type of attraction forces. So attraction forces are not equally arranged throughout the crystal, hence they don't melt at a particular temperature. So that we say that amorphous solids are having the range of melting point. What does it mean by the range of melting point? Say you take the plastic. Imagine when you start heating the plastic, it will not melt immediately into the liquid state. Initially, it softens at a particular temperature, 8 degrees centigrade. At 8 degrees centigrade, it starts softening. And A to B degrees centigrade, when you still keep on heating this plastic, it will become a viscous liquid. Here simply only softening takes place. Here it becomes a viscous liquid, means a sticky liquid. Again, if you keep on heating till to further degree centigrade, some C degree centigrade, then it completely becomes the liquid. So initially it was in the solid state before A degree centigrade. So actually melting means the conversion of a solid directly to the liquid is called as the melting. And before melting, before straight away converting them to the liquids, these amorphous solids are going through two phases. That is softening phase. Next one is viscous liquid phase. Means we cannot say, see here, this liquid has come. This is not called as the melting point. Why? Because this liquid is coming from the another viscous liquid, not from the solid. Similarly, this viscous liquid is also not coming from the solid, but from the softening material. The softening material is coming from the solid, but it is not the liquid. So this cannot be called as the melting point. This cannot be called as the melting point. This can also cannot be called as the melting point. Then which is called as the melting point? We say that these are having a range of melting point. Means the melting point lies between A degree centigrade to the C degree centigrade. Say A degree centigrade, you take it as a 10 degree centigrade. This you take it as 30 degree centigrade. This you take it as a 40 degree centigrade. So in the case of this type of amorphous solids, we say that the melting point may be in between the 10 degree centigrade to the 40 degree centigrade. So this is called the range. One range we are showing. Hence we say that these amorphous solids are having the range of melting point values. But in the case of the crystalline solids, we cannot say range of melting point value because they are having the same type of the attractive forces. Hence they start melting at a single temperature. Hence we say that they are having the sharp melting point. And I am going to tell you one more important thing about both the crystalline solids and amorphous solids. That is, in the case of the amorphous solids, crystalline solids show different type of the physical properties along different direction. Means refractive index. For example, refractive index is there. Either refractive index, conductance, or thermal properties, any type of the thermal properties. So these crystalline solids will give different values of these properties along different direction. Means if you try to calculate the conductance properties or refractive index or thermal properties of this particular crystalline solids along this particular direction, they will give one type of the value. And along this direction means like this, right? I'll draw it properly. There is a straight line like this. So along this direction, if you try to calculate, you will get the different type of the values. Along this direction, you will get the different type of the values. Why? Because if you try to get the values for this type of the some physical properties along this direction, you see what type of arrangement of particles is there. You can see AB type of arrangement is there. So here between the AB, the attraction forces are different. Here also attraction forces are different. But if you see along this particular direction, only B particles are arranged. Or else you can see along this direction only A particles are arranged. So the attraction forces among the A particles are different from the B particles, and attraction forces between the AA is different from the AB particles. Hence, crystalline solids are giving the different values to the refractive index, conductance properties or thermal properties. When you change the direction, the values are changed. Such type of the property is called the anisotropy. So what does it mean by anisotropy? Anisotropy is the property of the crystalline solids that gives different values when we change the direction to the different type of the physical properties. So that is called the anisotropy. Then what about the amorphous solids? Amorphous solids are said to be isotropic in nature. What does it mean by isotropic? What does it mean? Anisotropy anyhow we have discussed just now. Isotropic means you take either this direction or this direction or this direction, any direction, they are having the regular order. No proper order is maintained. So that is the reason why whether you try to find out the values of refractive index, conductance or thermal properties, any type of thermal properties or resistance, thermal resistance, whatever it may be. So along this direction they give one value, this direction one value, this direction one. They will give the irregular values completely. You don't get, means similar values you will get, not one value, similar values you will get. Why? Because along all the direction they will have the irregular order. Since they are having the irregular order, they are having the similar values. Similar values are giving, hence they are called as, they are said to be isotropic in nature, whereas crystalline solids are said to be anisotropic in nature. So I just continue crystalline solids and amorphous solids. I will give a best examples to the crystalline solids and amorphous solids. Simple example, crystalline solids is quartz. Quartz is the best example for the crystalline solids, whereas for the amorphous solids, quartz glass. Quartz glass is the best example for the amorphous solids. And there is one more important thing about the crystalline solids and amorphous solids, that is, when you keep on heating crystalline solids, they start converting to the amorphous solids. When you keep on heating, this heating process has to take place for longer time. So that is the reason why when you see the old buildings, ancient buildings, very ancient buildings, when you try to observe the windows that are present in the ancient buildings, the windows that are having different thickness at the top and at the bottom. The thickness of the windows of ancient buildings is more at the bottom than at the top. Why? Because over the period of the time, these windows are exposed to the light. When they are exposed to the light, this glass starts flowing down. So when they start flowing down, the thickness of the glass increases at the bottom than at the top. So that is the reason why the glasses can easily be broken at the top, because they become very thin compared to the bottom in ancient buildings. Okay. And here this is because of the amorphous solids. Because of amorphous solids are having the flowing property, that's why they can flow from the top to the bottom. This is the another important information about the amorphous solids. Okay dear friends, rest we will discuss in the next class.